Peace and love, everybody. This is Young Nas from iGotOptions LLC, and in this video I want to talk about how trading is a lot like the scientific method. So I'm going to take you back to when you were in middle school, in 5th grade, 4th grade, and you had to do those science experiments for like a majority of your grade. And although we hated it to a severe degree, that method is actually very useful, not only from a scientific perspective, but also from a financial trading perspective as well. So to refresh your memory, what exactly is the scientific method? Well, there's about 7 steps to this method, so I'm going to walk you through it real quick. Alright, so let's say you're minding your business, researching different stocks and whatnot, and then a question pops in your head. You think to yourself, I wonder how Apple's stock price is going to move tomorrow. Alright, now, ironically, that's the first step to the scientific method, asking a question. Alright, now the next step is doing background research. So I'm going to be researching how this stock is looking from a fundamental perspective, in addition to researching how this stock looks from a charting perspective. Right, marking up those different levels and seeing where the stock is likely to go up and likely to go down. Alright, now the third step is conducting a hypothesis. This is probably the most memorable step of this method because it's that if-then statement, remember? Alright, so let's say my hypothesis is if Apple touches a support level, then it will go up to its resistance level. Alright, now let's say that's my hypothesis. Alright, good. Now we have to move on to the next step, which is conducting the experiment. Alright, so remember, with experiments, there's something called variables. I'm sure you may know. We have the independent variable, the dependent variable, and the constant variable. Alright, now that independent variable is basically what you're controlling. Alright, so if you wanted to buy shares or buy options on Apple, then that would be your independent variable because you're controlling how much money you're putting into that stock. Now, the dependent variable is what you're testing or measuring. Alright, so in this case, it would be Apple's stock price. You're monitoring how that stock price is fluctuating throughout the day. And lastly, that leaves us with the constant variable, which is the one thing that stays the same throughout the entire experiment. Alright, now in this case, the constant variable would be Apple, because I'm not researching any other stock like Amazon or Tesla. No, I'm just sticking with Apple. Alright, so that's our constant variable. Now with that being said, once my experiment is over and I see how Apple moved throughout the day, it's time for me to write down my results, which is the next step. Alright, so you have to jot down your results. Analyze how that stock moved. Did it touch support? Did it touch resistance? If so, how many times? Alright, so you want to take note of that. And lastly, we have to go over the results. Alright, what was the conclusion of your experiment? Now let's say Apple did touch one of its support levels, but it didn't go up to resistance like I thought. Then I would take note of that and admit that my hypothesis was incorrect. Alright, now ironically, a lot of people can't admit that part when it comes to trading. They can't admit that they're wrong, they can't admit taking a loss, or accept taking a loss. So what do? They revenge trade and do all these careless things in attempts to make that money back. Alright, but if you think from a scientific perspective, you'll learn to accept those losses just as how you should accept your wins. Alright, but you should do so in a proper scientific fashion. Alright, so this is how trading in the stock market is like using the scientific method.